Well, Shefty just said something that's actually going to make me update my rankings. So we'll get this team review going for Spikes in just 1 second. But I feel like we do need to actually pull this up because if you go over and you look at my weekly rankings now, I am going to have Travis Hunter at wide receiver 32. Inside the same tier as DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel. Obviously, you can see we moved Deebo up dramatically based off the recent projections. Garrett Wilson, J-Mo, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Egbuka, Travis Hunter. Like, I obviously cannot say for certain what we should expect with any of these rookies, right? With Travis Hunter especially, where he's a prospect like we've never seen before, where we simply can't say that we know for sure he's just going to be a locked and loaded wide receiver that we can rely on in fantasy. I can't say that for 100% fact. But this makes me feel a hell of a lot better with it. This dropped about 2 hours ago now, where Shefty says the Jacksonville Jaguars are planning for Travis Hunter to be a quote-unquote every down wide receiver and situational corner in Sunday's regular season opener against the Carolina Panthers. This is legitimately the best case scenario, because they're for sure going to throw him in some defensive snaps. They want the story on ESPN. They want the media to have something to talk about. You're going to see him, I promise you, at least 3 to 5 defensive plays. You're going to get a couple. But if it's more so just a show, it's like, oh crap. Yeah, the other team, they're about to throw a Hail Mary. Get Travis out there. It frankly doesn't matter for fantasy purposes. You just rank him as if he's just going to play wide receiver. So this is massive. I think Travis Hunter, you can for sure consider week 1. I'm more confident with him than I otherwise would have been. And we did move him up here to about wide receiver 32 in our weekly rankings. Now, let me see if we had any other things that are pressing that we did not talk about in the live stream earlier today. Obviously, I'm going to be streaming a ton tonight. We're going to be going for probably about 3 hours realistically. I'm going to be streaming for probably like 5 hours tomorrow morning answering your questions. So I will continue to give you news and updates as I go through and get them. But I think we should be good to go ahead and start getting these team reviews underway. We also have start-sit questions and a few trade questions that we're going to be answering as well, but we have a decent amount of stuff. Now, this first one's going to be from Spikes, and as I get this out, I'm going to stall so I can tell you one thing. I know I'm being annoying. I don't talk too much about personal stuff, but this is a pretty big deal in my life. Think we already showed y'all it, but just in case you didn't see it in the live stream earlier today, this morning was a busy morning for your boy. This has been a busy week for your boy because we were planning on, well, I was planning. She had literally no idea, but planning an engagement. Did not ask at brunch. This is a photo from afterwards. Still waiting for the photographer that I hired to hide in secrecy to take videos and photos of us while I did it. To get me the real stuff, I'll share it with y'all once that's done. But definitely wanted to share that with y'all because it's pretty good news. And with that as well, I feel like it means that we're finally due for these underdog picks. This is what I'm rolling with for the games tomorrow. I'm going with Ricky Pearsall, higher than 41.5 receiving yards. I'm going with Deebo Samuel to not score a touchdown, essentially. And Tony Pollard to have fewer than 82.5 total yards. Now, I have gotten wiped with our last 2 underdog pick'ems. And if you've tailed me with it, you've just lost, and it hasn't even been remotely close either time. So if you wanted to say, Mason, I'm done tailing you on underdog, completely understandable. I'm not going to fault you for it. I will say, we're due. We just got engaged. We should have some lucky magic in us. And hopefully this will come through. And if you're not already on Underdog, the number one engagement present you could get me is hopping on with promo code FLOCK. I'll say that. And I'll leave the link in the description, comment section, live chat. Code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy. It's going to get $50 added to your account after you play your first 5. Plus, if you got the season pass on flockfantasy.com, fill out the Google form, you'll get an extra $10 in your Underdog account. So essentially, you deposit 10, you play 5, you'll have like $70 in your account. And at the same time, you're going to be getting a 100% profit boost token dropping on Underdog that you can take advantage of. That pick'em that I submitted with those 3 options was going to be a $50 entry to win $311. But let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be Spikes. Appreciate you, my friend. Excited to check out your team. Sorry for taking a little bit of time to distract away from this. But anyway, saying not crazy about my quarterback. And realistically, I'll say, just looking at your league settings, this is going to be a 10-team start 7 PPR format. So for me, I think your quarterback position matters a ton in this league. Going over and pulling your roster up. Wide receiver depth is the last thing that I'm concerned with. Because if we are only able to start 3 wide receivers in a league in which there are only 10 teams in it, you will always be able to go to the waiver wire and pick up a wide receiver if need be. Like, we can go ahead and we can look at what we have with the waiver wire options. Where right now, Javante's out there for free. Josh Downs, Hollywood Brown, Jaden Reed, Jaden Higgins, Darnell Mooney, they are all out there for free. So when I'm looking at this, and look at the quarterbacks, you could obviously stream QB. I do not care about the depth at all with your team. For that reason, I think you are very much in a position that any chance you get to sell Cortland Sutton, to sell Ted McMillan, to sell Travis Hunter, these players that I like a lot, don't get me wrong, in 2-for-1 deals to improve either at running back, tight end, or quarterback, it's a no-brainer. Let me go ahead and pull up the trade calculator on flockfantasy.com just so I can show you what we are talking about. Okay. But let me pull this up. And also, it looks like we had 100 likes on the stream. So go down, drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll get you set up with some free questions. Every time we hit 100 likes on the stream, we do a little giveaway. But let's go through and let's come up with a hypothetical trade for, let's say, a team with an elite quarterback, preferably. This team with Lamar Jackson. Like, if you were to go through, and honestly, the issue is we're not going to be able to trade for Lamar, now that I think about it. Like, nobody's going to give you Lamar for, like, Tet and Caleb Williams. Like, that's completely off the table. Like, Nico, Malik, worth more than any of the elite quarterbacks, worth more than any of the elite tight ends. Tet, Sutton, Hunter, not worth Lamar, not worth Allen. Maybe we can get to Daniels. Maybe we could get to Hurts if we're lucky. And again, those are big maybes. But going back and looking at this team has Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Drake May. Wide receiver, they have Puka, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Worthy. They also have Trey McBride and Travis Kelce. Do they think they can survive with Travis Kelce? They need wide receiver help. Like, if we go through, and honestly, this person doesn't know what they're doing, I'm assuming. So I'm assuming that they would rather have Sutton over Tet. But, like, if we were to try to send them, like, Sutton and Tet, Sutton and Trey McBride to get, Sutton and Tyler Warren, it's been a busy, busy day. For Trey McBride, you would see the trade calculator says that we slightly win. But looking at the shallowness of your league, if you're able to just throw Javonte on the other side for free, all of a sudden, you win this deal hands down, not even remotely close. So for what I'm trying to do, and the issue is you find yourself in just a very awkward, like, value spot where, like, again, Nico Neighbors, they're worth more than any of the elite quarterbacks, worth more than any of the elite tight ends. You never want to be down tiering in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Tet, Sutton, Hunter, probably going to be a little difficult to trade them in a 2-for-1 deal to go get the upgrade at either quarterback or tight end. But I'm going to try my best. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to send Tet in a 2-for-1 deal with Caleb and see if we can get to an elite quarterback. And the elite quarterbacks would be the top 4 names. That would be Daniels, Hurts, Lamar, Allen. You really are not going to have a shot at Lamar, Allen. Maybe you could get one of the other 2 guys. But I'm going to offer Tet and Caleb to get one of those 4 players. Sutton and Caleb to get one of those 4 players. Travis Hunter and Caleb to get one of those 4 players. And then I'm going to offer kind of the similar type deal when we're looking at what we have with the elite tight ends. I'm going to offer Tet and Tyler Warren, give me Kittle. Sutton and Tyler Warren, give me Kittle. Or McBride. Or Bowers. It doesn't matter. Travis Hunter and Tyler Warren, give me one of those players as well. So, just an easy spot for you to try to turn one of these wide receivers here that I love. Don't get me wrong. It's just the structure thing in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where you can pick up Javonte Williams for free. I'm going to try to send one of these players in a 2-for-1 deal with either the quarterback or tight end to get one to one of the elite guys. If not, you're probably going to sit on your hands and really just stream the quarterback position and hope Tyler Warren hits in a big time way. But really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let's pull up a winner for the free giveaway. We got Nick 1010. Let me see if I can find you on my users page, my friend. And if I can, I'll get you sent over some free questions. And we just found you. Let me send you over some free questions. Perfect. You should have some in your account. Thank you for hanging out with us in the live stream. And thank you for Created by MR for sending in some YouTube memberships. Appreciate you, my guy. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be coming out from Phil. Always have Phil out here. It says the wide receiver room is abysmal, and I was wondering if we should trade our massive RB room because of the waiver wire options being so bad. So it's going to be a 12-team format, so depth's going to be a little bit tougher to come by. The wide receiver room is really the only thing I need to improve, but just wanted your insight. Okay, first thing I want to address, my guy, is you are so far ahead of the rest of the field when it comes to value in this league. Just go ahead and take a look at what we have here with the league analyzer. Nobody comes remotely close to us. The second thing that I want to discuss is it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, the wide receiver depth isn't going to be that important. Now, going over and looking at what we have with, and Benjamin says, thanks, Mason Spikes here. Appreciate you, my guy. I wish I could help you out more than I did. But in reality, I think you have a good team, and I think you find yourself in an awkward spot where you can't sell one of those running backs. And your wide receiver values in comparison to the elite quarterbacks, elite tight ends, which is what we would want with your team and your roster. It's like these guys are probably worth less where you're probably going to get rejected. We're still going to send those like 14 offers or whatever we said and see if we have anybody biting. But we'd obviously not want to sell the elite receivers. But anyway, getting back here to Phil. So we have the elite quarterback and the elite tight end. Absolutely love this in a league where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We're putting Gibbs and Taylor every single week at running back. For this to be a 12-team league, it's insane. We're going with London, Devonta Smith every week at wide receiver, Breece Hall in the flex. Then we have Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Brian Robinson, Travis Etienne for the upside shots. Like, this is a great team. Now, what's very interesting is the waiver wire options are better at running back than they are at wide receiver. We have Jordan Mason, Braylon Allen out there on the waiver wire at running back. Wide receiver, our best options, Quentin Johnston. Now, you know, I'm never going to complain about picking up Quentin Johnston. You know me. But if we were to make a trade here, like, realistically, trading away one of the depth running backs that may have a little bit of a cap ceiling like Travis Etienne, if you could send Etienne, I forgot that we can actually pull these guys up now. If you can send Travis Etienne, who's the running back 39 last year in points per game, with Jawan Jennings in a 2-for-1 deal where we go through and we look at Jawan Jennings' entire NFL career, this dude has had 4 games in his entire NFL career with 20 or more fantasy points. Like, if you could package together Travis Etienne and Jawan Jennings and go get a wide receiver that we'd feel comfortable with, just like Travis Hunter now, especially after the Shefty report. Tet McMillan, I would love. Can't get to one of those names. Maybe we go and get a player like DJ Moore. Like, you can't afford to make that 2-for-1 deal where we sell running back with the receiver to go get that improvement. But you don't need to. Because again, this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where we're going to have the best quarterback position play, the best tight end play, the best running back play, or we can be a little bit weak at our wide receiver too. Because like Drake London's great at receiver. Like, look at this. Gibbs is a round 1 pick. London's a round 2 pick. Bowers a round 2 pick. Josh Allen's a round 2 pick. Jonathan Taylor's a round 2 pick. We have 5 players here that should have gone inside the top 2 picks. 2 rounds of your fantasy draft. Like, you're dominant. I don't think you need to do anything. I wish I had more for you, but I just don't. Now, let's move this over to Parlay Degen. Happy to see you. Always out here in the streams. Let me send you over some free questions. My friend says, 2 flex, 1 super flex. So if it's a super flex, honestly, ignore the league analyzer. The league analyzer is only pulling in 1 quarterback values in redraft leagues. Dynasty, it's pulling in super flex dynasty values, but redraft, ignore it if it's super flex. Need running back at depth. I need running back depth, I think. What are your thoughts? So where are we? We are 6th, but again, we have the 3rd best quarterback room according to the league analyzer here. So realistically, we'd be much, much higher if it was actually taken into account super flex values. Realistically, I think we would probably be the 2nd team, only behind this one with Josh Allen. But anyway, we have at quarterback, Daniels as a locked and loaded anchor. We have Michael Penix, who can play at QB2 most weeks. And then it looks like every starting quarterback is rostered in your league, which is honestly probably how it should be. So Flacco, obviously we are just fine with him as that depth 3rd quarterback at the beginning of the season. But one thing that I am concerned with, like we can actually pull this up for you now, is we can see Joe Flacco. And the last time that he played 8 games or more than 8 games, let's just say last time he played more than 9 games was 2017. I graduated high school in 2017. I like to comprehend that that is lifetimes ago. So you're not going to have Flacco all season. Like, it would be a shock. I have Jerry Jeudy on my team, so I'd love for Flacco to be the quarterback all year. It's just not going to happen. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Bucky, Judkins, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins. So the Judkins signing saves your running back room. I know you were saying as of yesterday that you thought you needed a running back depth, but Judkins looks like he's playing week 2 for the Cleveland Browns at this point. Am I going to tell you like, oh, Quinshon Judkins going to be a league winner? No. But he's that running back depth you were just talking about needing. We have J.K. Dobbins to play at the beginning of the year before R.J. Harvey takes over. And then by the time R.J. Harvey takes over and we no longer have Dobbins as a viable piece, we could possibly pivot over to Judkins. Now, looking at what we have at receiver, we have Brian Thomas as the elite name, Mike Evans, wide receiver 2, Jalen Waddle, Rome Odunze. It's a league where you're saying it's a double flex, so we can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. I like having the wide receiver depth here. Tight end, we have the elite tight end. This is a great team. Like, I would love it. Like, if you could only start up to 3 wide receivers every week, I'd say, you know what? Maybe we can try to sell like Jalen Waddle and Quinshon Judkins now that he's signed. And let's just go get a legitimate running back too that we can trust every week. But if you can start 4 wide receivers here weekly and Brian Thomas, Evans, Waddle, Rome are all in your starting lineup, I don't want to sell one of the depth pieces. I think we want to leave this as is. Now, looking at what we have with waiver wire pivots, I think that there are some very easy ones. For me, I would definitely drop Rico Dowdle in favor of Isaac Grindo until we actually see McCaffrey playing. I know that this is going to have to be something that we put in, and I'm not sure that we're going to get it, but I would for sure drop Adam Thielen in favor of Quentin Johnston. And I would put in a backup bid as well. If you don't get Quentin Johnston by dropping Adam Thielen, I would pick up Luther Burden and drop Adam Thielen. Because realistically, Adam Thielen could only possibly be starting for us the beginning portion of the season when we have no Jordan Addison in Minnesota. And it looks like Jalen Naylor is going to be good to go. And I would not be starting Adam Thielen on your roster personally. And then going over and looking at what we have at tight ends, we have George Kittle, Jonnu Smith. I think we can realistically drop Jonnu Smith for Dallas Goedert pretty easily as well. So I would love to tell you to make a trade here, but realistically, I don't think your roster needs a trade. I wouldn't want to trade if I were you. I think if you were trading, it'd be a mistake at this point. So I would just simply drop Dowdle, pick up Grindo. If CMC looks to be good on Sunday, then at that point we can pivot. Drop Adam Thielen, pick up Quentin Johnston. If Johnston goes before your waiver, then I'd pick up Luther Burden instead. And I would drop Jonnu Smith in favor of Dallas Goedert. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, I wish I had some trades, but realistically, I think your team's good as is. But it looks like we did just hit 200 likes on this stream. So if you haven't already, please drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll try to get some of y'all set up with some free vouchers. And let me move over and answer some of the simple questions, the trade, start, sit, and super messages before we get back to the roster reviews. But it looks like there are a decent amount here that we got to get through. Caveman Lawyer says, worthy injury, 0 points, may need a flex, Harrison or Travis Hunter. So we got phenomenal news with Travis Hunter earlier today, but you still play Marvin Harrison over him, in my opinion. Like, obviously, it's very good for Shefty to come through and say, like, oh, yeah, Travis Hunter is going to be somebody that we're starting every week. Or, I mean, he's going to be playing almost every down as a wide receiver. Like, that's exactly what you want to hear, but I'm not putting him in. Now, let's move this over. We got Jacob Nabes. Let me see if I can find you on the site, my guy. Okay, Jacob Nabes. I cannot find you. I don't know if you use code FLOCK. I can only find you on my users page on flockfantasy.com if you use code FLOCK. Mountain Golf, I just found you. Let me go ahead and send you over some free vouchers. All right, perfect. And let's move this over to our next, and that's probably too zoomed out. Let's zoom back in one. I wanted a halfway in between where you can at least see those options on the bottom. But Danik, this is Kyler Bijan versus Hurts and A.J. Brown. This is a Dynasty Superflex League where I'd rather have Hurts over Bijan. A.J. Brown, Kyler Murray, kind of up to you. I think this is a fair trade. I think it's going to come down to, do you have the stones to go take on A.J. Brown at this point and hope that you get a bounce back? But again, that comes down to, do you have the stones to do so? Now, Bitter Hornet trading JCM for Zach Charbonnet. I personally would rather have Charbonnet. Like, Charbonnet premium handcuff, but obviously not startable unless something were to occur to Kenneth Walker, and Walker's fully healthy right now. So I'm going to go JCM. Frightened Bump here for the flex. You plan on playing CMC. If CMC were to miss, your pivot would be Igbuka. But for now, the expectations are McCaffrey's playing. So if I had McCaffrey, I would definitely rather have him in the flex just in case like we need a last-minute pivot. Sucks that he plays later in the day on Sunday. But we're going to still plan on putting him at the flex spot for sure. Now, Tim is coming through with our next question. CMC, Jamar Chase versus Chase Brown, Nico, and A.J. Brown. Give me Nico Collins over let's go Jamar Chase over Nico Collins. Chase Brown, CMC, up to you depending on what you think with the CMC risk. I think I would rather have Nico and A.J. Brown over Jamar Chase. You know what? Ignore everything I just said if this is true. Is this really a 6-team league? This is a 6-team league. Ignore everything I just said. I'm sitting here assuming it's a normal fantasy football league. This is not a normal fantasy football league. The floor of these players doesn't matter at all. The only thing that possibly matters is the true ceiling in a 6-team league. So I'm going to go with McCaffrey and Jamar Chase. 12-team format, I may go with the other side. Now, Moretti with our next question. Here we need a flex where it looks like Jerome Ford is in play. It's like either Ford or Tet. I'm actually going to be going with Tet here relatively easily. Again, I personally do view Tet as just an absolute auto start going up against the Jags. Now, Untried Ghost is trading Rome for Igbuka. At this point, I think I would rather have Igbuka. I mean, we did see this trade happen in the Flock League, and we saw the team that was giving up Rome for Igbuka forced to throw in some FAAB. So I think you go with Igbuka with the passing volume in that offense. Now, Z Leon says, drop Judy for Quentin Johnson. Do not do that, please. Trust me, I love me some Quentin Johnston. And it would make my bank account very, very large if Quentin Johnson outscores Jerry Jeudy this year. But no, you want Jeudy for sure. Now, who stole my jam is trading Lamar, JCM, DJ Moore for Mahomes and Brian Thomas. I would rather Mahomes over JCM, Lamar and DJ Moore versus Brian Thomas. I'd probably rather Brian Thomas. So I'm going to go with the Brian Thomas and Patrick Mahomes side of this. Now, Todd CS98. This is Breece and Tyler Warren versus George Kittle. I will go ahead. I will take Kittle. This is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So in my opinion, you can afford to go out there and just quote unquote overpay to get the elite tight end. Okay. Now, Smoggy Curl trading Quentin Johnston for Brian Robinson. Let's hear this in the chat. Who would you rather have at this point? We don't really have the CMC clarity. I'll say if McCaffrey were going to be missing a large section of the season, in my opinion, it's very easy to take Brian Robinson. And I mean, one of the reasons I drafted so much Quentin Johnston in Underdog Best Ball drafts is like, okay, well, I think Quentin Johnston's going to give us some random spike weeks. Am I going to be able to predict when those are going to come from? Probably not, but it's going to happen. Just like week 1. I had no idea he was going to do that week 1, but it really helped my underdog teams. But the thing is, like, are you ever, like, how confident are you going to be able to put him in your starting lineup? Brian Robinson will be easy to determine if you start him or not. If CMC misses, he's in. If CMC plays, he's out. But we got B-Rob, 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 B-Rob. It looks like most people are in on Brian Robinson. We got a couple Quentin Johnstons out here. But yeah, you look at my rankings right now. I have Brian Robinson 99, Quentin Johnson at 129. So I'm going to take Brian Robinson. Now let's move this over to our next one. Smoggy Curl. We need a flex between Ridley in a tough matchup, Jaden Higgins, and Dylan Sampson. It's going to be Calvin Ridley, not close. Obviously, I hate the matchup playing the Broncos, but you got to play Calvin Ridley here. Gridiron God says, got offered this trade and I'm on the fence. So London to Bijan, clear upgrade. We're having to pay Evans and Breece to get it done. So what the league analyzer is telling us is that this is a start 9 format. As in, you need to start maybe like 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes. That would be my assumption. That's what the standard start 9 league is. If that is true, I think that the depth is going to matter too much. And you are just going to have to go ahead. You're going to have to take Breece, Mike Evans, and Drake London. Now, if this was, the league analyzer was incorrect, and you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex here, then at that point, what I'd probably do is I'd probably pivot over to the Bijan Robinson side. But how this is laid out as of now, I think I want to go ahead and I want to take the side with the depth based off your starting lineup requirements. Now, Waddles is trading Trey Benson, James Conner, Cortland Sutton for CMC and Josh Downs. For me, this is going to be CMC and Downs. Like, obviously, we are taking on so much risk with this. But there's a non-0% chance that we look back 3 weeks from now and go like, oh my gosh, can you believe that we panicked on McCaffrey getting in a limited practice and you were able to trade effectively Cortland Sutton and James Conner for him. So at this kind of price point, I know it's terrifying, but even with it being terrifying, it's like, oh, okay, what? We lose our rounds 5 and 6 pick to potentially pick up the number 1 overall player in fantasy. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the CMC and Josh downside. Now, Bitter Hornet trading Brian Robinson, CMC, and Ricky Pearsall for Bijan Robinson. This is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I'd rather have Bijan. This is a spot where I think you can offload the risk with McCaffrey. As again, if McCaffrey does miss, Brian Robinson's not coming anywhere close to the Bijan Robinson production, even if he will probably be a must-start guy. Now, Ant Timiso needs a flex. We have Jennings, Tillman, Tootin, Kyle Monangai. I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings actually projects to see more yards than Ricky Pearsall and Underdog, which is kind of funny. I don't want to tell that many people to start Jennings. After missing so much camp, I'd be a little nervous that he starts off slow, but like there's no way in hell I'm playing Cedric Tillman over him. Now, Bitter Hornet, this is trading Jaden Daniels, CMC, and T. Higgins for Bo Nix, Kyler, Neighbors, Kittle. Kittle versus Daniels, up to you. CMC versus Malik Neighbors, give me Malik Neighbors. T. Higgins versus Bo Nix, RJ Harvey, give me T. Higgins. So this is another one of those trades that I honestly think that this is going to be a personal preference with your risk tolerance on McCaffrey. Can y'all please spam the chat right now? Would you rather have the combo Jaden Daniels, CMC, and T. Higgins? Or Malik Neighbors, George Kittle, Bo Nix, RJ Harvey? Are you going to take the left or the right side of this deal? Left or the right side? Okay, let's see. We got left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So it seems like the chat split on this as well. Seems like it's very similar to what I was saying. It comes down to your personal preference with your risk tolerance for McCaffrey. You have all the same information that I have at this point. So honestly, it is going to be up to you here. Okay. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This one's coming out from Beto. Always happy to see it, my friend says. Mason, I am in shambles with Worthy being injured. How much FAAB should I be using on QJ? And do you see any trades that I can make? I may need another receiver. I can't see your team if you submit a just a super message, my friend. This is meant for just like quick answers. But Beto, if you're in the chat right now, which I know typically you're in the chat hanging out with us in these streams, if you could let me know, who would you drop if you're picking up Quentin Johnston? Because it's extremely difficult for me to give FAAB advice without knowing the exact league settings, which I know that we've looked at your team before. I just don't remember them off the top of my head. Because some leagues, like there are player, like we looked at a league earlier where there was Javonte Williams on the waiver wire. Where it's like, hell, if there's Javonte Williams on the waiver wire, that's it. I'm spending $0 FAAB on Quentin Johnston. But if it's a 14-team format, hell, I may be aggressive on him. So, Beto, please let me know in the chat if you're here. Hopefully you are. And then, honestly, we're going to just move on as we wait for him. Done with our next one. We need a flex. it's really just Garrett Wilson or Ricky Pearsall, and we're going to go Garrett Wilson again. I know this is maybe dumb, but I cannot play Ricky Pearsall after seeing he's higher, lower, 41.5 receiving yards on Underdog. I can't do it. But it seems like with Beto also, by the way, we talked about this a little bit, just like rewind 3 minutes before from whatever the timestamp the site sends you. But I can't really answer this without knowing what player you're going to drop. So I'm going to send you over a couple free trades if you see any trades that you want to be making. And I'm going to send you a couple free start sits as well. I really appreciate you always hanging out with us. I can't answer like FAAB questions without seeing what player you'll drop because it's going to give me so much context. And I don't want to tell you like, oh, 10% or 30% and just guess what the league settings would be. And then screw you over. So, oh, Jay Nito says Beto answered. Oh, okay, let me see if I can find Beto again. Oh, Beto, perfect. Hey, Mason. I can put Worthy on IR and pick up QJ. Otherwise, I would drop Ramondre. I have a lot of running backs. So, like, Ramondre may be right next to Quentin Johnston with my rest of season ranks. So, realistically for you, my guy, I wouldn't spend a ton of FAAB on Quentin Johnston. I may go 10%. And you know I'm the biggest Quentin Johnston guy there is. He's my number one most drafted player in Underdog drafts. There's not a single player I spent more money on this year, but I think he's a better Underdog pick than he is your regular redraft league pick. It's like, I don't know if you can trust him next week. Like, would you feel comfortable putting Quentin Johnston in your starting lineup? I wouldn't. So, if like the bottom end players in your league settings are like Ramondre Stevenson level, I don't know if I can tell you to be that aggressive on the FAAB with Quentin Johnston. I'd probably just do like 10%. At the most, to be honest. Actually, not at the most. I would do like probably 10 to 15%. But that probably means when your league mates get him over me. I hope I'm wrong with that, though. I hope he crushes. Now, F done with our next question. For the flex, we actually already answered that one. Our next one's going to be from GG. This is Mike Evans, George Kittle versus Brian Thomas and Mark Andrews. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. I think in the short term, it's going to look like the Evans-Kittle side wins this. But in the long term, when we eventually get Chris Godwin and Brains and Ayuk back in their respective offenses, I think Brian Thomas will be a significantly better piece than anybody else in this trade. So long-term wise, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Brian Thomas. And it looks like we're about to hit 300 likes on the stream. So if you haven't already, go down there, hit that like button, and we'll do a giveaway. Every time we hit 100 likes, we are going to be giving away some free questions in the chat. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I live stream every single day answering fantasy football questions. And if you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will tell you when we go live. Now, Jay Malone with our next one. This is a future first and Xavier Worthy versus Jalen Hurts in a Superflex Dynasty League. Superflex Dynasty, this is easily Jalen Hurts for sure. May have been Jalen Hurts before the Worthy injury. Now, JRBXB says, hey, Mason, always love your videos. Need your help. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Here for looking at this, I think we're going to go Garrett Wilson over JMO and Igbuka. For the flex, if we look at this, Underdog Pick'ems, I know they are going to have freaking Tyrone Tracy as the play, but I can't get behind. Like, I don't know why Tracy's projected so aggressively. Like, I would rather have DeAndre Swift over Tracy. So I'm going to ignore the projections there. Especially with the offense, I think Swift's more likely to see the touchdown. And then for the wide receivers, I was previously saying JMO. But with the Bucs offense just being in a much, much better matchup, I think you get a higher floor with Igbuka, especially in full PPR. So I know if you would have asked me this just 2 days ago, I'd have told you Jameson Williams over Igbuka. But honestly, I think I was wrong then. I think we're going to pivot over to Igbuka. But it looks like we had 300 likes on this stream. So go down to the chat and drop your flockfantasy.com username there. And if you have an account with code FLOCK, I will be able to search you on the account page and hopefully hook you up with a free question. Now, Suitzer coming through with our next one. We need to put somebody in the flex. We got RJ Harvey as an option at running back. Wide receiver, Travis Hunter, Chris Olave, Ricky Pearsall as the plays. So if you would have asked me this before the report that we got from Shefty saying that Travis Hunter is going to play every offensive snap and only be used on the defensive side of the ball situationally, I for sure would have told you to bench Travis Hunter. But this is one of those other stances that I think we've had to change as the week's gone on. And I think at this point, I would play Travis Hunter over Chris Olave and Rome Odunze. So I'm going to go with Hunter. But let's give away a question. We got Tiny Mechanic. Let me see if I can find you on the site. Pretty funny name. Tiny Mechanic. I cannot find you on the site. I don't know if you used code FLOCK when you signed up. Let's see if we can find Minty Fresh. There are 2 Minty Fresh accounts. So we are going to send over, I'm going to send over whichever one was created more recently. Okay. Found one that was created the most recently. And we're going to send that one some free vouchers. Which that's in that account now. But let's move this over to our next one. This is a myth. It says, made it. What do you think? Did I give up too much? Go Birds. Appreciate you, my friend. Here, Nico to Barkley, clear upgrade. Adams to Sutton, up to you. Henderson to Ricky Pearsall, clear downgrade. But I'd rather have the upgrade at the top of the deal and the downgrade at the bottom of the deal, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and I will take the Saquon Barkley, Cortland Sutton side of this. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to lie here. Keona, you read me like a book and you deserve some free vouchers for this. Keona, I'm assuming that's how we pronounce the name, but knows me too well. I can tell you're in this live stream enough to read right through my soul. Says, Mason, why do you skip my username? Because you don't know how to pronounce my name? Honestly, touche, may or may not be true, but regardless, for that and for you to clearly read right into my soul, you deserve some free vouchers. So I will go over and shoot you some vouchers on the site. Really appreciate you sticking with us for so long, and pretty funny message. So you should have some free vouchers in your account. Okay. Now we are over here for Shady. This one's going to be so with the recent projections we're looking at, I can't tell anybody to bench Jaylen Warren. Not in this spot where it's a league where you just have so many starters. Actually, I guess, what's it called? We need to fill out a running back spot still. So in that case, Jaylen Warren's going to be here at RB. And then if we're going down to the 2 flexes, yeah, we're going to take the 2 receivers. We'll go Rome. We'll go Olave. I think Rome, high ceiling, low floor. Olave, kind of high floor, low ceiling. Olave, I think you should just get some cheap receptions in a full PPR format. The issue is just going to be touchdowns will be extremely difficult to come by. Now, let's move this over to our next team or questions. This is from Caddyshack. It says start sit. Okay. For the flex, we're going to go with Igbuka over Downs, Dobbins. Actually, this is a non-PPR. Never mind. Thank God we read that it's a non-PPR. Non-PPR, you jam Dobbins here. Supposed to have a ton of points scored in Denver, and in non-PPR format, the only thing we're chasing is touchdowns. Now, Apple with our next one. Receiver, we're going to go with London Tet. I'm sorry, we're going to go London Evans. So how many teams are in this league? For the flex, plan A is McCaffrey. If McCaffrey doesn't play, plan B will be Adams. Well, actually, plan B will be Tet. Plan C will be Adams. Plan D is Trevion Henderson. But we'll see if we get some more McCaffrey news tomorrow morning before the main slate. I think we're going to go with CMC. Now, Bruno, this is Achane, Trey Benson, Brock Bowers versus Genty, T. Higgins, and David Njoku. Bowers versus Genty, give me Genty. Achane versus T. Higgins and David Njoku, give me Achane. Trey Benson doesn't make that big of a difference in this deal. Realistically, if I view this as like, hey, Achane and Genty are about the same for me, I'd way rather have Brock Bowers over T. Higgins and David Njoku. I'm going to go with the Achane side. So yeah, give me Achane, Trey Benson, and Brock Bowers. Now, Bobby Bottles, here we're choosing between Olave and Travis Hunter. After the recent report we got from Adam Schefter, where Shefty told us that Hunter was going to be playing all the wide receiver snaps, you go ahead and you play Travis Hunter. Now, Broncos, for the two flexes, you just take the guys that you know are going to have volume. You take Kenneth Walker. You take Tony Pollard. I don't think you have to think much about it. Deep ball trading James Cook, A.J. Brown, Josh Downs for Bucky Irving, Rashee Rice, and George Pickens. James Cook, or let's view it this way. A.J. Brown to Bucky Irving and a dynasty. I need to update my dynasty rankings, dear God. Because in dynasty, I would definitely prefer Bucky. Let me see this. So let's update our dynasty ranks here. I think I'd rather have Igbuka over Worthy at this point in dynasty. Let me hit publish and see if I submit these, if it will update on your end. Because Dynasty, I'm going to be honest, I definitely spend more time updating in the off season, where in season I spend more time looking at the redraft stuff. Okay. Let me hit publish and refresh this. Okay, we're going to have to pull back up stream mode. Let's turn that off. Okay, what is this going to show? Okay. Not showing exactly how I'd want it, but it is. Oh, this is a Dynasty 1 quarterback. That's why. But let's just say Bucky's slightly ahead of A.J. Brown. Pickens, Josh Downs, Tomato, Rice versus James Cook. Give me Rashee Rice. I think we're going to go with the Bucky Rice side. Almost regardless of if you're a contender or a rebuilder. I'm going to want the Bucky Rice Pickens side in Dynasty. Can I confirm that it's a Dynasty? Yeah, there are enough players in this team to assume that it's a Dynasty league. Now, Smokin' Scooby says, I'm going to lose my mind. Pearsall / Hunter flex. Talking about the underdog scare. So essentially, we put out that video earlier today where we saw that underdog has Travis Hunter higher lower 41.5 receiving yards. And we're like, yeah, you know what? Probably looking at this, if you could probably avoid starting Travis Hunter, that'd be nice. I'm sorry, starting Ricky Pearsall. And now that we got the Adam Schefter report with Travis Hunter being the every down wide receiver, I moved Travis Hunter ahead of Ricky Pearsall in our weekly rankings easily. So we're pivoting. I know this is different than what we had at the beginning of the week, but we had Juwan Jennings questionable at the beginning of the week. Now Jennings is playing. We had less certainty with Travis Hunter at the beginning of the week than we do now, so we're going to go Hunter. Grand Lake Rocks. Running back, I'm going to be taking Jalen Warren, which I know is different than what we had early in the week, but I think we have to go with him. Now, looking at what we have for the flex, Garrett Wilson versus Trevion's a little bit tougher. Full PPR format, I think we go Wilson. I absolutely love Trevion Henderson's upside long term. Don't get me wrong, but I think, and I know we're getting positive reports and working with the first team in practice, blah, blah, blah. And I'm hoping I'm wrong here. But what's the real downside of us benching the rookie running back in favor of Garrett Wilson week 1? Now, wasteful shoulder with our next question. For the flex, I'm going to go Travis Hunter over Austin Eckler. Again, I am way more confident in starting Travis Hunter now than I was just yesterday. I think we have to go for it. Okay. Now our next, we need to sign out and sign back in. So give me 1 second. And as I do this, would be nice if you could go down there, hit that like button for us. Again, every 100 likes we hit on this stream, we are giving away some free questions in the live chat. So just drop a like, and also we'll be live streaming every single day until Christmas answering questions. So if you haven't already, if you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will tell you when we go live. We got a bunch of team reviews. Bunch of reviews. Okay. And let's get this back. Wasteful shoulder, I think you probably have already seen, but we want Travis Hunter over Eckler. Now, thumper, quarterback, give me Kyler over Goff. Running back, give me Trevion over Tracy. Tracy has a higher floor, though. For the flex, T. Higgins and JSN will just be the auto locks here, and it'll be easy. Now, Dos Gato, this is Kyler, Purdy, J-Mo for Josh Allen. If this is a one quarterback format, this is Josh Allen by a mile. So, yeah, let's go with Josh Allen here, please. Now, CMC plays with our next question. Currently on the bench, we have Trevion, which would probably be the best guy to get in the lineup if we could, but there's no way in hell I'm playing him over Tet. Do we have yeah, I'm not playing Jonnu over Tyler Warren in that quarterback, so I think you leave this as is. Now, J2 Wavy says, also have Deonta Thornton to consider. Wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, easy over Jaden Higgins and Torrey Horton. And then we're going to go Dobbins easily in the flex as well. Honestly, I understand that we are a little concerned with Ridley in the matchup, but you still have to go with him. Now, Krum Kochkev, here quarterback, we're going to go Fields McCarthy is tough. 4-point passing touchdown format. Obviously, we really care about the rushing upside of our QBs, but it's just the worst game environment you could possibly ask for. McCarthy's offense is supposed to score a lot more points. 6-point passing touchdown league, it's JJ McCarthy for sure. 4-point passing touchdown league where we're just a little more inclined to care about the rushing, I think we probably go with Fields. But I have them ranked back to back, and I don't think we would change anything else with this lineup. Now, Mr. Anonymous needs help with the flex. We got essentially Brian Robinson or Jordan Mason. If CMC misses, give me Brian Robinson easily. If CMC plays, give me Jordan Mason easily. And hopefully we'll have some more clarity early. Let's move over to It's Sean's. Appreciate you, my friend. Wide receiver, I think you're just going to have to jam Tyreek, Tet, and then for the flex, I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton and a full PPR format over the running backs. Even if Warren projects to have more raw yardage, again, full PPR format, Sutton obviously should have more receptions. Now, it looks like we're about to hit 400 likes on the stream, so get ready to drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. Now, Will Rinsley Says wide receiver room is Golden, McMillan, Worthy. My hero RB is Gibbs. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. Afterwards, we'd have Brian Thomas, Tet McMillan, Matthew Golden. You go get Brian Thomas. Like, it's a little scary, especially with the the Xavier Worthy injury, to be selling our wide receiver depth. But I think we have to go with Brian Thomas here. I think just raw value, it's the Thomas side. Now, I would have said that even before the disappointing lad game. But yeah, drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat and we'll pick somebody for the free vouchers. Now, Cousin Noah trading Kenneth Walker, Brian Thomas, Travis Kelce for Jamar Chase and Loveland. Kelce to Loveland, tomato. Brian Thomas and Kenneth Walker versus Jamar Chase. After we do this, running back, we would have Breece Hall, Quinshawn, Chubb. I can't have Breece Hall as my running back one, to be honest. I think it is a completely fine price point. Don't get me wrong. A lot of teams, I think I would want them to go out there and make this move. But I got to be taking the Kenneth Walker side here. Just because you really need some help out. I mean, you would be trashed at running back if you do this. Now, let's pick somebody in the chat real quick. We got Ledex. See if I can find you on the site, my guy. Ledex. Found you? I'd be super happy to send you over some free questions. Appreciate you always hanging out with us in the stream. Okay. So those should be in your account now. Now, let's move this over to our next one. Jay Gonzalez says, congrats on the engagement, brother. Thank you, my guy. I really do appreciate it. Definitely a very exciting day. Definitely very tired from today's actions. But here we need Pollard or Henderson for the flex spot. I think for me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to play it safe and take Tony Pollard. I think Henderson's the better running back. I'd rather have him rest of the season. But week 1, Pollard, you have no Spears, and Henderson, we don't know the role exactly. And then for the flex spot, Tet is just an auto start given the matchup here. Now, I have nothing is trading Chase Brown, Mike Evans for Jahmyr Gibbs and Keenan Allen. Keenan's almost, if this truly is a 10-team league, Keenan's like nothing for me. Like, when are you going to be able to know that you can get Keenan in your starting lineup? It'd be very difficult for you to project that. So it's all going to come down to your league settings. If this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, especially if it's like a 10-team league, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably easily take the Jahmyr Gibbs side of this. But if you're just like, hey man, it's a 12-team double flex format where it's actually not that easy to find a bunch of just waiver wire options that we love, then yeah, I'm not going to fault you for going with the double starters. So this is a fair trade, and it's really going to come down to your exact league settings. Frank the Tank says, start 1, Warren, DJ Moore, or Brian Robinson. So if CMC were to be out, Brian Robinson's obviously very appealing here. But if it's a full PPR format, I just think you play it safe and go DJ Moore. It's not like Brian Robinson's been with this team for that long, right? Realistically, if Garindo is healthy, maybe I'm projecting it to be B-Rob is the starter, but we don't know to what extent that backfield's going to be split. Now, Zanny here for the flex. We have really DK Metcalf is the best receiver, in my opinion, and Jalen Warren is the best running back. It's a game where obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be trying to run. They are favored in this contest. They should be able to run. I think Jalen Warren gives you a higher floor. DK Metcalf probably gives you the higher ceiling. I don't. What's a shot we get a big play from Jalen Warren in comparison to a big play from DK? Now, let's move this over to our next one from Schlinky. Now, running back, this is Ollie, Brian Robinson, Scat, or Ray Davis. Well, this is brutal. We're going to go Scat if CMC is healthy. If not, we will go Brian Robinson, of course. But, yeah, that is a tough spot to be in. Now, Keith with his start sit. For the flex, I'm going to take JSN. Yeah, while Ted is like super exciting for me, and maybe the projections have Ted right with JSN week 1. Like JSN had the 100 receptions last year. You had the guaranteed volume. So we're going to go with him. Now, Isaac Flo. We're going to go with Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard. I know Pollard has projected more yards for Hubbard, but I think you're just going to have more points scored for Carolina, so I think you have more touchdown upside. Wide receiver, Nico, DJ Moore, Egbuka will be the easy plays. And then for the flex spot, we'll go right back over and we'll play Tony Pollard. I wish I was smart enough to tell you to play Javonte, but obviously I was not. Now, Jamahedi, or I probably absolutely butchered that. Says I have JJ, McConkey, Terry, and Garrett as my receivers. Achane, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren as my running backs. Ollie Gordon's nothing. I don't care if you have Achane. If there's an interesting waiver wire pickup after the games tomorrow, like Ollie Gordon would be someone you drop for him. So I would go ahead and now take Garrett Wilson here. Now, Borey trading Tracy, George Pickens for Josh Jacobs. This is Josh Jacobs, not close. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Yeah. Especially knowing that Scat may expand his role as the year goes on. Now, ASAP trading Chase Brown for Pacheco and Drake London. For me, you know I'm not the biggest Pacheco guy, but like London and Chase Brown are effectively back-to-back in my rankings. So if you're telling me you get Pacheco for free, it's not that bad. Like, I'm fine picking up Pacheco for free, even if I'm not the biggest Pacheco guy. So I probably would make this deal. Now, Ivan says, I have Brian Thomas Jr. already. Not sure if we should start Hunter. So like I said, I went ahead and I updated my wide receiver rankings on the site to reflect what we have with the Shefty report. I moved Travis Hunter inside the same tier as Jamison Williams. I still have JMO as the better option. And it honestly is going to be irrelevant for me whenever we determine who we start there between Hunter or Jamison Williams. The fact that we have Brian Thomas in our lineup, that's not going to impact my decision one way or another. Doom is asking, is this worth the risk? It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where the wide receiver depth doesn't matter as much. So here's my thought process. There were a tier of 14 or 15, let's call it 15 players in fantasy football drafts this year. They were like, you can break it down by 2 different tiers. There were top 15. And this is my opinion, of course, but I stand by it. Tier 1 was a combination of 6 guys. Whatever order you want, of Chase, Lamb, Jefferson with the receivers, Barkley, Bijan, Gibbs with the running backs. Then afterwards, and keep in mind, this is off the top of the head, so maybe we need to actually just reference what we have with the rankings page. Then afterwards, you have St. Brown, Nico, Puka, Genty, Derrick Henry, Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Achane, CMC, and maybe you include Bowers, maybe you don't. But for me, with the with the CMC injury stuff, I would not trade any player that was in the same tier with him for McCaffrey. Maybe if you add like if you were looking at trading somebody, I don't think you look at trading Brian Thomas. Maybe if you were looking at like Drake London. And even then it would be thin. And even then I wouldn't be excited about it. So I'm not taking this risk. I think that Brian Thomas was already in the same tier as McCaffrey before all this injury buzz. So after it, I'm for sure not going to be trading him for him. Omega Les Paul, always happy to see. I know you've been with us for years now, my guy. Now, Carmel with this question's essentially asking, are we going to start Pollard or Travis Hunter? I am going to be going with Tony Pollard over Travis Hunter. Obviously, rest of season, Travis Hunter is going to be the play. But while you have no Spears and we haven't seen Hunter play yet, I think you just go Pollard. Now, Michael, with our next one, I think we are going to start Tony Pollard over Egbuka and Ricky Pearsall. Again, with Pollard, horrible matchup, but you do have the guaranteed volume with no Spears. Nimble Gradient is trading Sharp and Connor for Chuba. This is not a linked league, so I don't know the best waiver wire options. This is a very fair deal. I'm not going to mark a single side as a winner. If you were in like a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, which is what the site's telling us, I don't know if you filled that out yourself, but if you did fill that out yourself and that is accurate, then I'd probably rather have the Chuba Hubbard side because realistically, I think you should be able to go to the waiver wire and pick up somebody of significance. But if the waiver wire is very much buried in your league, I'd probably rather have James Conner Charbonnet. So it's going to be a fair deal regardless here for sure. Now let's mark that complete. Let's refresh this. See how many other quick questions we got. Okay, not many more, and then we can pivot over to those roster reviews. So if you did get in a quick question, like a start set, trade, or a super message, it should be answered sooner rather than later. Now, looking at Mealy Daddy, quarterback between Lawrence and Purdy. Rest of season, give me Purdy. Week 1, this could not be a better matchup for Lawrence. I go Lawrence. And then it may sound crazy, but I'm playing Tet McMillan over Devontae Adams week 1. I think Tet is set up to absolutely smash. It's very scary to say this with somebody that we've never seen in the NFL, but based off the situation, based off the matchup, based off the talent profile, I'm just completely fine jamming them in. Now, Kazon for Prez. Why is this not loading for us? There it is. Dear God. I'm going to go Jordan Mason over Sharbs. Like, we've seen Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker in the same backfield, and we've seen that Charbonnet's only, at least in the past, his usage has only been as a handcuff. We haven't seen Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. If I had to pick one, I'll go that direction. And then we're for sure going to go JMO in the flex. There's no way in hell we play the other running back here, right? Now, let's move this over. And Yams with our next question. For the flex, it's going to be Chuba Hubbard. And Trevion versus Travis Hunter's tough. I probably will go with Trevion Henderson. But again, Travis Hunter is now a lot more appealing with the Shefty report. Now, Obex O'Brien, tight end. I'm probably going to go Kraft over Tyler Warren week 1. Especially if you look at not only the game total, but the Jaden Reed injury. And then for the flex, I think you play Sutton. I'm playing Sutton over Rome, JMO for sure. Now, Jackson Dart coming through. Hope that You have a good game tomorrow. I know you're not going to be playing, but hold that clipboard nice and tight. For the flex, we're looking at, I guess, really just like Waddle and Hunter. And I guess you could go Breece as well. I'm probably going to go Breece here. I know people would disagree with us on this. Projections would tell you to go with Waddle, by the way. And maybe it is true that it's going to be a 3-man running back by committee where Braylon Allen's the dude, blah, blah, blah. But my thing with Breece is we've seen the big play upside where you do really only need one play from him. So am I that excited to jam him in? Of course not. But I am probably playing him week 1. Now, no one with our next question. I'm going to go with Dobbins for sure in one of these flexes. And then, dear God, I think we play Jawan Jennings. What's hilarious is right now projections have Jennings ahead of Ricky Pearsall, which I do not agree with myself. Again, I chose to go with the higher on Ricky Pearsall, 41.5 yards, but yeah, I think we play Jennings. Now, Mr. Dorazio. For the flex, give me Devontae Adams over Waddle, and then none of those other running backs are interesting at all. Mitigated Frame, always happy to see it. Says, hey, Mason, just don't know what I should do at wide receiver in a non-PPR format. Non-PPR, we just chase the guys that we think can score touchdowns. Tyreek Hill can do that. I love our running back room. Dear God, your team's good. I'm going to go Hawk at tight end. I'm going to go Tet at receiver. This is a damn good team. I would for sure, like if we could, like this is crazy to say, but if you look at the actual numbers behind it, there's a method to the madness. I would never tell somebody to do this in a PPR league, of course. But in a non-PPR format, if you have this wide receiver room and you look at the scores that you're going to be getting at wide receiver in comparison to the scores that you will get at quarterback, for me, I would trade Drake London for an elite QB like Lamar or Allen if you could. I would love to do so. Now, Big Boy Crispy. Tight end, give me Andrews over Hawk. I have Hawk. I hope I'm wrong here, but when you have no likely in a great game environment, you play Andrews. And then for the flex, if you were looking at median projections, Deebo Samuel's going to be the play. And maybe I'm an idiot here. Maybe I'm holding on too much to this past season and not thinking enough about what happened 2 years ago. That's very easily a possibility. But I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time telling people to jam in Deebo. For the time being, I'm going to be saying, let's play Trevion over Deebo Samuel. Like, if it was my team, that's what I would do. But if the projections are anything close to being accurate on Deebo, I will say he's going to look like one of the biggest values in drafts this year. Which, based off how I drafted my teams, I hope that's not the case. I kind of hope Deebo Samuel disappoints the projections, or I'm going to be in some trouble. Now, JM, I'm going to go with Caleb May's interesting. I believe you actually have the Pats projected to score more points than the Bears this week. But I'd assume that you probably have the Pats a little bit more run heavy. I think Caleb's going to surprise with rushing upside this year. We're going to go Caleb. And then for the flexes, give me the combination of Trevion and Travis Hunter. I know we started the beginning of the week saying, you know what? We wanted to be hesitant where we could with the rookies, and I know we were just changing our mind on it, but we're getting the reports of Trevion with the first team. We're getting the reports that Travis Hunter is going to get used more as a receiver, so I think we go for it. But Kainoa, I'm skipping to the end of your message here. Kainoa says, hey Mason, congrats on the engagement. Love your content. Sorry for calling you out in the stream, LOL. My name is pronounced Kainoa. Appreciate you, my friend. And a bunch of people call us out in the stream and always think about it. We get thousands of messages in the stream every day. So I read hundreds of people correctly telling me how stupid I am and blah, blah, blah. You weren't calling me out. You just had a funny message in the stream that was partially true. So that's why I definitely wanted to point you out and get you some free vouchers, because I thought that was really funny. But I appreciate you, my guy. And yeah, again, of course, thank you. Now, let's move this over. Oaks Mac with the start sit. Here for the flex. I don't know if you actually just need one flex. If you just need one, I go Ted. If you need two, of course, we can play Igbuka in the second spot. But I'd play Ted over Igbuka if that's what you're asking. I wish we had a different tight end we could choose from. Now, Joey Bagadonis. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Between Tet and Henderson, again, Tet's the auto start. I'm going to look like a big dum-dum when I have to make the video tomorrow night apologizing to everybody for telling y'all to start the rookie wide receiver week 1. But if I had to pick one of the rookie receivers I was the most confident with, it would be Tet for sure. Both rest of season and week 1. Now, B. Phil says, congrats on the engagement. 10-person league, full PPR, need a running back. Thank you so much, my guy. If you look at what I just did based off that latest Adam Schefter report, I just moved Travis Hunter ahead of Nico Collins in my rankings. I'm sorry, I just moved. I did not do that. I moved Travis Hunter ahead of Breece Hall in my rankings. So, not for this week, but for rest of season. Like if you're talking trades. So, Nico to Gibbs, clear upgrade. Breece to Hunter. If it's not an upgrade, it's a lateral move at this point. So, yeah. We're going to take Jahmyr Gibbs and Travis Hunter in this. And let me refresh this, see if we had any more simple questions coming in. Yes, we got this one from Frank the Tank. It says PPR, Jalen Warren or DJ Moore. So the projections are going to tell you Warren. Can y'all spam the chat? Would you play Jalen Warren or DJ Moore? I'm thinking DJ Moore. Full PPR format. Give me the reception volume. I think you get the big play upside too. I'm not that concerned about Loveland or Luther Burden week 1. Again, projections are saying that it's the Warren side. I just don't know if we can trust it. But it looks like the chat also agrees that we're going to go DJ Moore here. We got a couple Warrens mixed in. And again, if you look at just like underdog pick'ems, they just have Jalen Warren so damn high. But yeah, let's go more. Okay, now our next question is going to be from Beto again. It says, hey Mason, can you see my team now? I can put Worthy on IR. How much FAAB do you think for QJ? I'm going to lose week 1. Should I find a trade for a receiver? I really appreciate you, my guy. Let me go through. And let me also make sure that we can say, I feel like we always are sending you a bunch of free stuff, but so I don't know if you have the free vouchers in your account. Hopefully you do, but we just send you a bunch right now. So let's look at this. So we lost Worthy, right? So let's take Worthy out of here and let's try to figure out what we're doing going into the future. Let's assume, hey, this is week 2, right? Week 2, we're going to have Rome Odunze in our wide receiver slot. We go over and we look at what we have in the flex. We have Trevion Henderson and Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall could be a complete dud. He could be nothing. So if we're moving Worthy to the IR and we're putting in a bid for Quentin Johnston, and this is a 12-team start 8 format, I think I would go out there, and I think I would be more aggressive than I initially said with Quentin Johnston. I know I said 10 to 15%. I think I'd be like 20 to 25%. Again, I already know I said this, but with Quentin Johnston, I really like the exposure that I have to him in best ball. I think we're going to get a couple more good usable weeks out of him through the rest of the season. But the issue that I have, like in your league, is you go and you pick up Quentin Johnston. Can you start him in week 2? This is something I got to think about, right? I'm going to be making our weekly rankings. Am I going to be able to go out there and put Quentin Johnston inside the top 50 wide receivers? He'll be inside the top 50. But am I going to be able to put him inside the top 36 wide receivers? I don't think so. I would be surprised if I could. So it's tough. I wouldn't go all out because I don't view him as an every week starter going into the future. I think he's going to give you random usable weeks, which is kind of the issue with waiver wire wide receivers. It is almost never the case that you pick up a waiver wire option and they turn into Puka Nacua his rookie season. Where it's like, oh, this guy has that spike, and then he turns into somebody that is getting ranked inside the top 15 wide receivers in the weekly rankings every single week going into the future. It is a lot more common for us to see Trey Tucker, for us to see Cedric Tillman, for us to see these like random wide receivers that spike, that people get excited about. They pick up off the waiver wire. And it's like with Cedric Tillman as an example. It's like, okay, he gave you a big spike week. Then the following week, people were mad at me for having too low in the rankings. Then he had another big spike week. And then the next week, I still put him really low in the rankings. And I was like, what the hell are we going to expect here? And you just wash out, and he was never really relevant again. So I wouldn't go overboard with Quentin Johnston with your FAAB. Your league specifically, I would say, is probably more important than he would be otherwise. Like in a 2 wide receiver 1 flex, especially if you have the open roster spot where we're moving Worthy to the IR, I'd be going like 25 to 30%. But I really appreciate you. And like I said, you should have a bunch of free questions in your account. And I really hope I was able to help you out, my guy. And of course, thank you so much for always being with us in the streams. Now, Noob Tarded coming through. We already started Worthy, so we are in a little bit of a hole. I think I'm going to go with Devontae Adams, and I'm going to be going with Igbuka, wide receiver and flex. If you were like Mason, the only thing that matters is me chasing a 30-point performance, just chasing the absolute highest ceiling I could get, I wouldn't fault you for going Travis Hunter over Igbuka. But I'd be a little scared to do so. Now, Jake 5484. Here for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Tat. I'm playing Tat over Terry McLaurin week 1. I don't care. It's like everything against what we always say, but we're going with it. Great talent profile, great matchup, great situation. Give me 10. Brandon starts at here, Travis Hunter, and between Olave and Rome, it is going to be a little bit tough. Like, let me go back and pull up what we had with the underdog projections for these 2 receivers specifically. I'm not considering anybody else here. Full PPR format, I'm not considering Tank Bigsby over these receivers until we see that Bigsby is truly the starting guy. But Olave and Rome, I believe, are like back-to-back with projections this week, unless I'm mistaken. Olave is higher, lower, 49.5 receiving yards. Rome's 47.5. I think Rome's probably more likely to see the touchdown. Olave is probably more likely to see an extra reception or two. So it's up to you between these two receivers. I think you can go Olave. It's honestly just up to you. Now, Zocap puts Hollywood Brown in here. And my friend, I don't know what to do with this. So I'm going to set you up with another free trade question voucher. So if you're trying to sell Hollywood for something, just please send that in one more time. Now, the dork side asking to start sits. CMC may be out, have a snap count. Should we start London? Yes. Very rarely would I tell you, like, we got to be so concerned that you can't play you can't wait on CMC to get confirmation. But if it's like, hey, I'm considering benching Drake London, who gives a damn? Just go out there and bench McCaffrey and make sure that McCaffrey's all good to go. Now, our next one is going to be from Espinge. Wide receiver Egbuka versus Hunter. I'm going to go Egbuka over Hunter still, but it's close. Then we're going to play Hunter in the... Actually, no, we're going to go Trevion in the flex. I'm definitely a lot more excited about Hunter than I was, but... Henderson and Egbuka are still super exciting options as well. Now let's refresh this, see if we have any more of the quick questions coming in. We do. This is from Jay Guns. Here, right now on the bench, we have DeAndre Swift. I'd like to get Swift in, but I'm not starting him over JSN. I don't think we can start him over Pollard either. I'm definitely going to be starting him over Pollard once we end up getting back Tajee Spears, or at least I'm assuming we're going to be. But for now, I think you can go Swift. Now, Ravioli, this is Hampton versus Trevion and Egbuka. This is a 14-team format, if this is filled out correctly, which it is. 14-team league. I mean, I'm seeing people out there on Twitter spaz and go like, oh, Hampton looked bad. You got to sell Hampton for Trevion Henderson while you still can. Which I don't necessarily agree with that, but, I mean, if you're telling me you're going to get Egbuka for free, let's go for it. Like, I would do that for sure. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is coming out from Poker Pro. Looking at Diggs or Olave in the flex. So we got Will Campbell looking like he's going to play for New England, which is good news in my opinion for Stephon Diggs. I would go Olave. I'd be more concerned about the 32-year-old receiver coming off the torn ACL than Olave with the concussions. Obviously, you can make an argument that the concussions for Olave is going to impact him more negatively later in life. And like from a real life perspective, it's more concerning than a torn ACL. But if the only thing we're chasing is little points on the screen, I'm going to go with Olave this week. I hope I'm wrong. I'm starting Diggs in my league, but if I had Olave, I think I'd start Olave over him. Now, K Kingdom, we need a flex. We got CMC, James Cook as the two guys that we'd be going between. So for me, you plan on McCaffrey because the benefit that you get here is James Cook does not play until Sunday night. So we're going to get that confirmation by the time you actually need to be submitting your starting lineup with McCaffrey. Sorry. By the time you need to determine who you're going to start, we'll know if McCaffrey's playing or not. Because James Cook plays after him. I know I worded that poorly, but again, it's been a very long day. I'm very tired. We got engaged today. It's big day. Mitigated Frame says London and Jordan Love for Burrow or Daniels. No. A mitigated frame. Can you let me know in the chat real quick to confirm? Maybe I'm missing something. Is this a Dynasty Superflex League? Dynasty Superflex, I'll make this for Daniels. But Beto says, Mason, how much would it cost to get a signed Dodge jersey? I probably can't answer that. But what I can say is I've been working. I just reached out. I'm about to order like a ridiculous, because we got more people on the website this year than I was expecting. So I just full transparency. For everybody to come down to like the flock meetup and blah, 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 I ordered about 400 hats. And I was like, this hopefully will cover the people on the site that fill out the Google form. Domain got a bunch of shirts as well. So it's like we have 600 merch items. It's like this should probably cover what we need for the people on the site. And then like the content creators and then also the people at the meetup. And I'm wrong. So I just reached out to, it's a big deal because it's a lot of money. It's more money than I've spent on anything in my entire life. But I just reached out to a hat company. I'm not going to give you all the exact company name, but I've done so much research on trying to find like the high quality hats because I want to be able to send y'all merch that like you're excited to wear around, that I'm excited to wear around. So I think I'm going to be ordering like 2,000 hats to ship out to the people on the site. And we're not going to sell them. It'll just be like a Google form. You know how like you filled out the Underdog Google form on the site where you put your site email address and then your Underdog username. And then it'll be like, I'm going to download the CSV, send it to Underdog. It'll be the same thing. I mean, if y'all were a member of the site last year, you should have got your free merch by filling that out. But where it'll be like a Google form, you'll put a drop down. Are you an annual mother flocker? Do you get a season pass? Or did you get a season pass? We're only going to be doing it for paid members of the site. We're not going to do it for the free members. That'd be impossible. But, and then I'm going to order like 2,000 hats. Then we have like 300 hats left over from the meetup for me giving them out at the meetup. So I have like 2,300 hats. We'll have like 200 shirts. I'm going to make my brother who lives with me and now my fiance help me like spend an entire weekend boxing and shipping up hats for y'all. So what y'all do is y'all go to the Google form. Y'all just put like your flockfantasy.com username, your address of where you want the shipped hat to. If you're an annual mother flocker or if you got the season pass, that way we can go through and we can confirm here all the annual mother flockers, get it to them first. And then the leftover, we'll do what we can with the season pass. And then, yeah, but I know that's a big tangent. It's been weighing me down. Sent a bunch of emails out. It's like, if I can reach out to, because like, just for reference, the hat that I found with the high quality that I want, it's like $14 for like the large, when you order the biggest bulk quantity, which like 2,000 times 14, then just say like each hat costs like $7 to ship. So just say each hat's like $20. It's like ridiculous. It's like $40,000. So if I can get like these hats down by like $1 or by like $2, it's like a lifesaver. So I know I'm just rambling here, but let me see if I can find mitigated chat. So hopefully I can have the hat stuff figured out for y'all soon. Mitigated frame says non-PPR redraft. Okay, I'm an idiot. I know you sent this to us earlier. So non-PPR format, I would do the London and Love for Allen and Lamar. I would probably do them for Daniels. I want to do that. I want to do it for Burrow. Burrow's not in the same tier, unless it's a 6-point passing touchdown league. But hopefully I was able to help you out. But yeah, anyway, I know we just rambled for quite some time. Long story short, I'm about to spend way more money than I've ever spent in my entire life. Y'all are the reason I'm able to do it. The site had way more success this year than I was thinking. And trying to get back. So we're going to get a bunch of hats. I'll keep y'all posted. I'll be very annoying about it in the live streams, reminding y'all to fill out the Google form. And we will have a little operation running out of this house, shipping those out. Now, Rich Pedro with our next one. Running back, we obviously go Gibbs here. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with Tet and Egbuka over JMO now, even though I wouldn't have said that early in the week. And then flex, we go Chuba Hubbard. I mean, Travis Hunter definitely a lot more exciting now than he was, but I'm not playing him over Chuba. Definitely not playing him over Tet. Egbuka, you could swap if you want, but I'm not doing it. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Noah Thomas with our next one. It says, Chubb or Harvey in a PPR format, can't decide by projections. I would go Harvey. I think Harvey's just going to be in a much better overall environment. Harvey's going to be in a committee, and Chubb's probably going to be in a committee as well. It's not like Chubb's going to be the guaranteed feature back. So I think if we are looking at what we could add with the PPR aspect of it, like there's no world in which Nick Chubb is going to go out there and have 6 receptions. Sporta says, marry her to put her to work. Shake my head. Shake my head. Let me see this. KM, I saw your message and that was hilarious. And it made me think of a hilarious tweet to send out. It was with the Quentin Johnston Brazil game. You know there's going to be there's a large section of the world that now thinks Quentin Johnston's the best player in the NFL. There are a lot of Brazilian kids right now that think that true or false? There are at least 10,000 kids in Brazil that think Quentin Johnston is the best football player in the world. True or false? Let me see what people in the chat say. But Saiducci says, Travis Hunter or Ricky Pearsall for the flex. Based off the recent developments, I'm going Travis Hunter. So it looks like we don't need to fill anything here. Yeah, if it's just Travis Hunter or Ricky Pearsall, I'll go Travis Hunter for sure. Sammy says, not if they own a television. True. I think it's true. Jada says there are some in America too, Mason. That's funny. But let's move this over to our next one. GX Ghost. This is a start sit where we need a flex. Stephon Diggs, Jerome Ford. So Jacoby Myers and Jerome Ford project to be much better options. Now that you have no Christian Gonzalez and you have no Amari Cooper, I did recently move Jacoby Myers up our rankings dramatically. I think we are going to go Myers. The trade request scares the crap out of me, but it is what it is. Okay. Now let's refresh this, see if we have any more. Sorry, I'm trying to come up with a good tweet. Saying, makes me happy to think that there are a bunch of kids in Brazil that will grow up thinking Quentin Johnston is the best football player that's ever lived. All right. That may get deleted in 3 minutes. Okay, Sync 5X. Here for the flex, Jacoby or RJ Harvey. Full PBR format. I'm going to pivot over and I'm going to be going with Jacoby. maybe I wanted to told you this at the beginning of the week. Just like I said with the previous question, I was scared off of Jacoby Myers, but with the way that this has played out, with no Christian Gonzalez in this matchup, with no Amari Cooper as well, I think Jacoby looks better than he did. Now, LaFaro with a flex between Trevion, Hunter, and Flowers. Weird to say, this is probably going to be the only week I will say this. I'm probably going to start Zay Flowers. Because realistically, with Zay Flowers here, he gives you a very high ceiling that we need with the Lamar stack, knowing that you're kind of toast since you started Hampton, Worthy, and Ladd. So, and it's a phenomenal game environment where you do have the over-under for the Ravens-Bills game projecting out to be the highest scoring game of the week. Okay. Now, Jason needs 2 wide receiver spots. We're going to go Tet as an auto start here, and then we're going to be going with Waddle as the other one. Pretty easily as well. Let's see if we can refresh this. If we got any more. I think that's it from there. Let me get back over to the team reviews, and we'll get to the start set questions and trade questions in just 1 second. Dear God, tell me. Okay, we turned the... Okay, so I'm not going to lie to y'all. I made a pretty big mistake. We're going to get this going for Mother Flocker. He knows I appreciate him, but the mistake that I made is I kept on getting emails of like, oh, this person spent $50 on the site using your promo code. Person spent $60 on your site using on your promo code on the site, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking like, well, how are these people sending this? Are all these people sending like super high super chats? A bunch of people buying really expensive super chats right now. Maybe they're donating a bunch for the engagement, blah, blah, blah. And then I pulled up my phone, went to my reviews. And I realized that I had forgot to turn off my team reviews from last night. So, but they're off now, but we got a bunch to work through. Now, Mother Flocka, happy to see you. Let me go ahead and set you up with some free questions. I know you're always out here with us. You know I appreciate you, my guy. Says, I'm sorry for sending 2 of these, but you're my key to success. Let me know how I did, what it should do for my bench and trades. Heat up my running back room, and it's only 5 running backs max limit. Good to know. Okay, 5 running back max limit. Running back's not going to be that important here. The running back depth isn't going to be that important here in a 10-team league, because there should always be some running backs that we can grab off the waiver wire. Like going through and looking at the running backs on the waiver wire right now, you have Tank Bigsby, you have Braylon Allen, you have Trey Benson. So realistically, that just kind of shows you the depth at the position that's available for legitimately free. Now, if we're looking at what we could do right out the gate, I would say that Bigsby, Braylon, Benson are for sure worth roster spots. Now, with that being said, we can't drop like any of the other options for him. So the only drop that I think is easy to make is Ramondre for Tank Bigsby. Like, that's easy for me. Outside of that, nothing else is easy. Now, what I love about your team is it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, and we are currently rolling with Lamar and Bowers. So we get the elite onesies. We don't really have much that we need to be worrying about in terms of rostering a backup here, blah, blah, blah. And again, quarterback and tight end, they're going to make up a high percentage of our starting lineup output with this context. But let's look at what we have at running back. We have Amari and Hampton. We have Breece Hall. We have Judkins. We have Brian Robinson. And we have Ramondre Stevenson. So we're going to drop Ramondre. We're going to pick up Bigsby. The Judkins signing helps us so damn much. Because all of a sudden we actually do have quality running back depth and upside as well. Because we have a couple different outs of our running back room turning out to be good. And one thing I will say, is if we're looking at the Amari and Hampton game, the fantasy points last night weren't great. But what was really exciting was the usage. Like Amari and Hampton had all the volume. Najee Harris had nothing. So I'm confident with Hampton. And we just need the out to have some running back upside. If you have Bigsby down on your bench with Judkins, Brian Robinson, and Ramadre, if McCaffrey's injury is serious, your running back room's great. If Judkins takes over and his talent profile from college translates to the NFL and the Browns aren't the worst offense in the league, your running back room's solid. If Bigsby takes over as the starting running back in Jacksonville, like there are so many outs for your running back room to be viable. Wide receiver, we have the elite name with Jefferson. We have Adams. We have Travis Hunter steaming up. Like today was obviously, yesterday was horrendous for you. To have the flop with Hampton's fantasy points, to have the worthy injury sucks. But the wide receiver depth's not going to matter. Like wide receiver 3, Travis Hunter. Wide receiver 4, Deebo Samuel. Completely fine to have in a league where you can only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. So I love your team. I'm not making any trades with your team. I am simply going to be dropping Ramadre, picking up Tank Bigsby, and I think you're in a really good spot. But I hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. Again, really do appreciate you. You should have some free questions on your account to follow up with anything that you need. And yeah, thank you so much for everything as always. Tales from Crypto says, dude, you got engaged today. Go to her and go to bed. Okay. Tales from the Crypto. I don't know if you're new here, my friend, but it's a Saturday night and it's week 1. I could have gotten married today. The wedding could have been today. And I would be live streaming, answering questions right now. But looks like we had 600 likes on the stream. So go down and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And we'll pick somebody random to give some vouchers to. Shockwave Day says she knows what she signed up for. 100%. She is the absolute best. Hence why we are engaged now. We've been together for almost 6 years. And she has put up with me live streaming every single day for 230 days straight, pretty much every year. And not doing a single thing other than just YouTube during the football season. So, she is. She knows the grind. And that's one of the many reasons I felt like this is the one. If she understands the grind, she's going to let me go for it. I don't know if another would. Now, Aya Nundan's name is Pesky Parrot. Let me see if I can find you, and we will send you over some free questions. Thank you for hanging out in the chat. And if y'all haven't already, go down there and hit that like button. Whenever we hit 700 likes, we'll be giving out some more free questions. But Pesky Parrot, you should have some free vouchers on your account. So please send in some, whatever you want. Now, let's move this over to our next team. Now, Evan, happy to see us, says, I followed your draft guide and took value on wide receiver, but fell behind at running back too. Trying to find out how to win this year. Got second place with you helping me team reviews last year. Go to YouTuber, by the way. Really appreciate you, my guy, and really excited to take a look at this. Now, we are currently 4th in the analyzer, which I don't love because there are 3 teams that are like in that little tier above us. Are there any easy waiver wire moves that we can make to raise us up? Yes, there is. I think we probably, obviously, we're going to see what happens tomorrow morning, but I bet you're probably going to end up cutting Dameon Pierce. I would rather go ahead and cut Dameon Pierce and pick up your call of Quentin Johnston or Isaac Gurindo. But it honestly, hell, I may drop Dameon Pierce for Gurindo right now. Because it's up to you. Either consider dropping Dameon Pierce for Isaac Grando now, or you can wait and you can see what their respective backfield shake out to be this week. Because again, if CMC is good to go, then obviously Grando would be a waste of a roster spot. Now, looking at what we have, and also, Evan, if you were in this chat right now, let me know, because I would love to bounce ideas back and forth with you. But quarterback, we have Daniels. Absolutely love having Daniels here. Nothing to discuss. Tight end, we have Laporta and Goddard. I'm in a very similar situation as you are, where I have Dallas Goedert as our second tight ends, where I'm probably starting TJ Hawkinson over him every week, but it's like, damn, he feels pretty good here. I don't necessarily know if we want to drop him for like a player off the waiver wire. So I'd probably keep him on the roster, hoping that we get a big week, hoping that we can sell him. Going over and looking at running back, we have Jacobs, ETN, Ford. The saving grace for you this week is you're going to be able to jam in Jacobs, put Jerome Ford at your running back 2 spot. And this is going to save you because Jerome Ford looks to be a smash week 1. And then obviously long term, he's probably nothing. But we may get a waiver wire option turning out to be a viable running back for us in the long term. It's obviously too early to know right now, but that is going to be in the range of outcomes. Going over to wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Marv, Travis Hunter, Devonta Smith, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins. So plenty of wide receiver depth here. So Evan, the league analyzer is saying that this is a start 6 league, which I don't believe that. I think the league analyzer is wrong, which is why I wish you were here. But if this is a league in which you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, I think that you're probably incentivized to sell Marvin Harrison and Travis Etienne after this week and go and get the best running back that you possibly can. Now, however, if this is a league where you could start 4 or more wide receivers, I think you may be playing the waiver wire game at running back. So it's going to come down to your league settings there. Do not panic, and for the love of God, do not think you need to make a trade today or tomorrow morning before the games. Start Jerome Ford at your running back 2 spot, and then realistically, after the week, hopefully we hit on a waiver wire running back. Like I said, I would consider dropping Dameon Pierce in favor of Isaac Grando right now. And then if we don't have any interesting waiver wire running backs breaking out, I would then at that point consider trading Marv and Travis Etienne in a 2-for-1 deal to upgrade at RB2 under the assumption that this is not a league where you can start like 4 or more receivers. But appreciate you, my guy, and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. Now let's move this over to another longtime member of the flock that's always out with us. This is going to be Gavin, but I'm going to have to sign out and sign back in to get this going. All right. We got this pulled back up. So we are here with Gavin. Okay. Says, hey, Mason, overall happy with my team. We start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. It's going to be... Okay, so wait. Okay, so a wide receiver / tight end flex, and then an additional flex. So effectively, this is a start 3 wide receiver league. And this is just my personal preference. I know everybody has their own personal preference in fantasy football. For me to have for you to have 2 flex spots, but one is like, hey, in this flex spot, you could start a wide receiver or a running back. In this other flex spot, you can't start a running back for whatever reason. It makes no sense to me. And I don't know why anybody would do that. But again, that's a personal preference for me. So essentially, I'm treating this as a 3 wide receiver single flex league. Let me send you over some questions before I forget. Was wondering if you had any thoughts / ideas for me to get an upgrade. We have Dak and a stacked wide receiver room for trade bait. Thanks, Fred, and good luck in your league. Appreciate you, my guy. And here we are currently the second team in the league analyzer. So I would say the vast majority of leagues, quarterback is like Dak Prescott's not going to be trade bait. You go out there today, tomorrow, and you try to trade away Dak Prescott for something, you're not going to be able to get anything. Like, good luck. Now, looking at your waiver wire, it's garbage at quarterback. Cam Ward, Bryce Young are the best options. So if we were to get a significant injury, where like say Josh Allen goes down, and then at the same time we have a really strong spot with like a Dak Prescott blow up game and a softer matchup, like if he goes up against the Giants, then maybe at that point we can leverage him for some running back value. But for now, you're not going to get anything trying to sell this dude. Going over to running back 2 looks extremely shaky based off Isaiah Pacheco splitting the backfield with Kareem Hunt. We have JCM, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason. So maybe Brian Robinson can save us. If the McCaffrey injury turns out to be serious, then honestly, everything's fine. But if McCaffrey is just playing on Sunday, playing into the future, you really need some help at running back here. Receiver, we have Lamb, Brian Thomas, Igbuka, Ridley. It's a league where you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. And we are planning on it, right? So if you sell Igbuka for a running back, it's like, oh, cool. Now we have a competent running back too. But then all of a sudden in a flex spot, we're a little bit weaker than normal. So you can't just like use the cop out like, oh, we need running back, let's sell a wide receiver for a running back. And tight end, we have Laporta. Here's my thing. I think how you go about this, where we can't afford to sell like Igbuka for a running back, because then all of a sudden you're just weaker at one of the flexes. And where in this league, in my opinion, it's effectively a league where you just got to start 3 receivers every week. And then you obviously have the 4th option with that additional flex. But what we can do down on the bottom is we can give ourselves additional outs. Where it's like, hey, if we were to get this happening or this happening or this happening or this happening or this happening, then all of a sudden running back's fine. So for me, I very easily cut Marvin Mims and I pick up Braylon Allen for this team. I would like to sell Dak. I would like to get a running back upgrade that way. Obviously, when we have Lamar, we have absolutely no need for him. But the fact of the matter is, if you were to go out there and try to sell him right now, you're not going to be able to get anything at all. So I would go out. I would just make a simple move. Marvin Mims, pick up Braylon Allen, sell Dak Prescott for a running back upgrade if we can, if we were to get an injury to a running back. But at this point, like, you're just not going to be able to. But I really appreciate you always hanging out with us, my guy. I think you have a good team overall. Again, your league wide receiver is the most important position. And we are second in the league analyzer at receiver. We have the elite quarterback as well. And overall, we are second in the league analyzer in general. So I think you have a really good team. I don't think there's much to discuss with this other than trying to figure out our running back 2 spot. And rather than going through and making a trade, I'd rather just try to operate with the waiver wire intention. But really appreciate you, and I hope I was able to help you out in some way here. Now let's move this over to Little Faith. So I won last year thanks to you and the boys. I reached a bit on Igbuka, and my running back 2 spot is spotty. What in your opinion on any changes you may recommend? I reached a bit on Igbuka in the 6th, but I was able to get Pat in the 8th. Thanks. Thank you, my guy. So I'll say, honestly, Igbuka in the 6th is not a reach. If you were to draft again today, there's a chance he would go in the 5th. At least in the Flock League, I think he possibly went in the 5th round there, no? If he didn't go in the 5th there, he went in the 6th. But anyway, taking a look at where we're at, we are the 5th spot in the league analyzer. So having Mahomes, I don't view Mahomes as like the locked and loaded elite quarterback. I was very hopeful for Mahomes this season. Like, you go back to a lot of those underdog best ball drafts I was doing, I was out there saying, like, who knows, maybe Mahomes can get back to the passing volume we once had. But that was when I thought he was going to have Rice and Worthy, and now he has neither. And Kelsey looked like cheeks last night. So it's hard for me to be that excited about Patrick Mahomes. So Mahomes is fine. Not saying he isn't. But he's in the quarterback range that, hell, I wouldn't mind rostering Drake May and playing the matchups between the two of them, where you probably play Mahomes more often than not, but May's inside the similar range and May's going to run the ball a ton. I know Mahomes had a ton of rushing week 1, but that's not guaranteed forever. Now, going over to running back, we have Chase Brown, RJ Harvey, Joe Mixon, Trey Benson, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So for me here, I think we got to do something. Running back's not great. Quarterback's not great. Tight end's not great. We have the top end wide receivers with Neighbors, Higgins, Smith, Rice, Igbuka. A lot of times I see these Rice teams. I'm like, yeah, we need to sell a receiver eventually, but we can't do so until we get Rashee Rice back. Your league here's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So with that context, I think you can pretty easily go through and sell a receiver. I don't think you're going to be able to sell Devonta Smith after the game on Thursday. I don't know if I'd want to. I think if you took Igbuka there in the 5th, like, obviously you like him a ton. I think he's set up to absolutely crush. I'm not going to tell you need to sell him. I think the guy you probably end up selling is T. Higgins. Like, in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, if you can package together T. Higgins and Patrick Mahomes and get Josh Allen, package together T. Higgins and Patrick Mahomes and get Lamar Jackson, I'm going for it. If not, if you could go like T. Higgins and Joe Mixon and somehow weasel yourself into the range of running backs that went in round 2, if somebody in your league thinks that Mixon's guaranteed to come back in week 5, like, we can go T. Higgins and Mixon for Bucky, T. Higgins and Mixon for Taylor, T. Higgins and Mixon for Jacobs. We already have Chase Brown herself. Obviously, that'd be a no-brainer, but that is going to be much, much easier said than done. Obviously, if we're offering that, we'd be very happy to send them Nick Chubb as well. So just throw Nick Chubb in the deal to make him seem like, oh, they get the running back production in the short and long term. But I think Higgins is your leverage point if you were to look to make a trade. Looking at any potential waiver wire pivots, no, I think you'll leave the team as is waiver wire wise. Outside of, like I said, if you can make a 2-for-1 deal, maybe where you sell like T. Higgins and player X at running back and go upgrade at RB and open up another roster spot. I'm not going to fault you at all if Mahomes is your only quarterback for rostering a second quarterback with either May or Jordan Love. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much, my guy, for being a member of the flock. And yeah, best of luck this season. Now let's move this over to Dylan Quinlan. So super happy with how this turned out. Always looking for ways to get better though. So let's pull this up. We are currently the 3rd spot in the league analyzer. And what is extremely relevant for this team is this is a Superflex Start 9 format. So Superflex Start 9 is about equivalent to, and when in terms of like we need wide receiver, running back depth, of a Start 8 1 quarterback league. So if I was looking at what we have at the base level strategy we are interested in. It is going to be centered around rostering positional depth. Obviously, the elite quarterback here is going to be very interesting. And then ignoring the tight end position. Tight end's going to make up a very low percentage of our starting lineup output here weekly. And for us, if we are sitting here with Hunter Henry as our only tight end, I think you did exactly that. This is a phenomenal setup. Looking at quarterback, QB2 is shaky. I would honestly probably roster Daniel Jones here. Because, say for this week, I would play Daniel Jones over Matthew Stafford. There are going to be certain scenarios where Daniel Jones gives you the rushing upside that you're not going to get with Stafford. That if the matchups are right, where this week, the Colts project to score just as many points as the Rams. I don't want to cut Stafford for Daniel Jones, but I would just like to have Daniel Jones on the team. So what we effectively need to do is we need to find a way to open a roster spot. We have Ginty, we have Kamara, we have Pollard, we have Judkins now viable long-term. We have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt as well. Wide receiver, we have London, JSN, Igbuka, Rome, Downs. We get the Worthy injury, but you had plenty of wide receiver depth, so we can still have 4 wide receivers we're excited to start weekly. This is a phenomenal team. Here's what I actually try to do with your team. Now that Judkins is going to be good to go week 2 and beyond, I'm not saying that we can start him immediately, but we have Ginty and Kamara that we can start, right? And we have plenty of wide receiver depth as well. Tony Pollard is an expendable asset for your team in the long term. I think we go and approach some of these teams that need some help at running back. One thing that we can do here with the league analyzer is we can sort by running back need. So this team here at the bottom has James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Rashad White's their third RB. Is there a world in which we can send them like Tony Pollard and Matthew Stafford for Bo Nix in a Superflex league like this? If so, I'd be super happy about that. This squad here has David Montgomery, Tyrone Tracy as their top 2 running backs. I really need to move Tracy out of Montgomery. I need to move Montgomery down in ranks. If we could send them Tony Pollard and Stafford for either Kyler or Mahomes, be super happy with that. This team has Brees, then Bigsby as their RB2, RB3. If we could go Stafford and Pollard for Purdy in a Superflex league, sign me up. This team has Caleb Johnson or Madre Jerome Ford as their RBs 2 through 4. If we can go Stafford and Pollard for Justin Herbert in a Superflex league, sign me up for it. Obviously, that team, we're not getting Lamar. This team, I don't care as much. We're not getting Burrow. If you could get Burrow, you go for it. I think that's your leverage point. I don't think you need any position, obviously, other than tight end. Tight end's garbage here, but for me, with your league settings, I'm not that concerned at tight end, to be honest with you. So I personally would go through and I'd try to do what we could to upgrade the Superflex spot. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here, my guy. And again, I think you sent over another team that we can take a look at as well. It says drafted in the 7th spot. Happy with my team overall. So this is a 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8 league. So it should be a little bit easier to get options off the waiver wire when we need to. The problem you're going to have with this team here is the worst player on your team is Braylon Allen. So realistically, when we go to make waiver wire moves, it's oh crap. If Loveland shouldn't be on the waiver wire, Loveland should be on a roster. Can I tell you to drop Braylon Allen? No, probably not. Not when you have Bowers. It's if Jaden Reed turns out to be healthy, Jaden Reed probably should get picked up. So as I look at this, it's people spamming that JMO news. Let me pull this up. Jamison Williams getting paid. Again, I stand by. Jamison Williams actually provides a lot more real life value than he does for fantasy purposes. We'll look at that in a second. It's good. For whatever reason, Twitter loads so slow. But for that reason, in this 10-team league, my default is always, how the hell do we upgrade at running back? How do we make 2-for-1 deals? How can I get an elite quarterback in here? So the issue you're going to have with getting an elite quarterback with your team is obviously I'm not trading Jefferson or Neighbors for any quarterback. And in terms of the top 4 QBs of Daniels, Hurts, Allen, Lamar, trust me, I'm sending this offer anyway. I'm going to make sure that those owners will reject it, but I'm assuming they will. I'm going to offer them Garrett Wilson and Caleb in a 2-for-1 deal to go out there and get one of the top 4 quarterbacks. I'm going to offer Zay Flowers and Caleb, to go get Burrow. Open up a roster spot and pick up Hollywood or pick up Jaden Reed for free. With that in mind as well, like we have Downs as our wide receiver 5, Addison as our wide receiver 6, Hollywood and Reed are for free on waivers. Could I sell Garrett Wilson and Tyrone Tracy and go get Amari and Hampton? Can I sell Garrett Wilson and Tony Pollard and go get Kyron Williams? Can I sell Garrett Wilson can I sell Zay Flowers and James Cook and go get any of Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs? You need to leverage some of this wide receiver depth here to get an upgrade either at running back or quarterback, and then just backfill with the wide receivers off waivers. Because there are 2 very interesting waiver wire wide receivers that you could look at right now. So I don't think there's much else with this team. I like the team overall. You're second in the league analyzer. We have the elite tight end. We have, having Jefferson, Neighbors, and Brock Bowers on the same team shouldn't be possible. So I think you have a ton of value. I think you're in a really good spot. The only thing I would do is try to leverage some of the wide receiver depth pieces to get either an upgrade at quarterback or running back, because you should be able to get the benefit of picking up the wide receivers for free off waivers. But I think that's all I got for you. I really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my friend. But yeah, Jamison Williams signs a 3-year, $83 million extension with the Lions. What's the Amon-Ra St. Brown contract? Like, how much is St. Brown getting paid? St. Brown signed a 4-year, $120 million deal. How much this was guaranteed? $77 million guaranteed. Will be interesting to see what the Jamison. You would think as well with Jamison getting popped like with multiple suspensions, right? So you had the PED suspension and then you also had the gambling suspension. Of course, I'm not an NFL general manager. I don't know anything. But I would assume that with those suspensions, his price point wouldn't have been as high. Realistically, I'm not moving him by my rankings at all based off an extension. Maybe you do in Dynasty, but not in Redraft. And especially not in Week 1. But I'm going to pull up some of the quick questions that we have here. We don't need to keep looking at the team reviews. Kieran says, how do I get my roster analyzed too? You can always do it on Flock. Let me rephrase that. That's a bad way to pay it. Sometimes you can do it on flockfantasy.com. You can always ask a start sit question, always ask a trade question, always ask a super message on flockfantasy.com. The roster reviews, they take us too much time where I can't always have them open. So I'll turn on roster reviews where you can submit one and buy one for like a small little stretch of time, like 10 or 15 people will get them. Then I'll turn them off. So they're off right now, but we'll probably turn them on again tomorrow. But Dio trading T. Higgins for A.J. Brown, I would still rather have A.J. Brown, which I have them ranked back to back. And the fact of the matter is, if I had A.J. Brown and I was offered T. Higgins, I'd probably reject it. If I had T. Higgins and I was offered A.J. Brown, I'd probably reject it. I would probably just stick with who I have at this point. Now, Wally Ferguson with our next one. Pitts or Kincaid? You go Kincaid this week. Great game environment against Baltimore. Ryan says, yo, Mason, I won the Powerball. Congrats, my friend. You will maybe be half as rich as me considering all the Quentin Johnson best ball bags I have. Jay Sizzler says, Mayor McCarthy or Bryce Young. We got Tet in the flex. I'm not going to consider Bryce Young even with Tet in the flex. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to go with May over McCarthy. I think May gives us the rushing upside and similar team projections. Klusk, I'm assuming we need, let's go 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and then we'll do 2 flex spots. Start Bucky and Harvey, Tet and Chase, and then for the 2 flexes, we're going to go Downs and Montgomery. If it's a single flex, you probably go Downs in a full PPR. Now, Bitter Hornet trading JMO and Rasheed for A.J. Brown and Cooper Kupp. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. You got 5 more weeks. So once Rice is back, he should be close to A.J. Brown, and JMO to Kupp's going to be a downgrade in the short and long term. If you need the production right now, which looking at your wide receiver room, you may do. I'm assuming that this deal wouldn't go through until after week 1 anyway. So what I would do is I'd wait until after week 1. And if Ricky Pearsall looks unusable, you probably make the trade. But if Ricky Pearsall looks like he could be a viable wide receiver 3 for you until Rice comes back, you hold still. J-Mac with our next question. I'm going to go Pollard over Trevion. And I think we leave the rest of the lineup as is. Now, Beto, always happy to see you. You know that. Trevion and Ricky versus Egbuka and Harvey. Give me Harvey over Ricky. Give me Henderson over Egbuka. I don't necessarily think we have to consider too much with the roster because it's just a running back wide receiver swap for running back wide receiver swap. I'm going to go with the Trevion side. I think he's the best player in the deal. Now, Peck Birdman trading away Ladd in a Dynasty Superflex 12-team start 10 for a first and a couple seconds. I would probably still rather have Ladd here. Maybe I'm just in my redraft brain. Unless you think that first round pick is going to be super, super early. If you think that's going to be the 103 or higher, I understand it. Cowboys playing on CMC at running back and then here for the flex. Actually, you know what you can do? You can play Tracy at running back, playing on CMC at the flex spot. Actually, you have Brian Robinson, so you're going to be fine. Even if CMC doesn't play, you can pivot to B-Rob. Now, let me refresh this. MX 1032 with our next one. So we need to do a flex. We got Diggs. Could we pivot Diggs into the... No, we can't play Diggs over any of these options. Leave this as is. Now, MX with another one. Is this the same lineup? Yeah, I think this is the same lineup. Maybe the site just duplicated that for whatever reason. Charles Magny. Here, I'm going to go Sutton over Trevion week 1. Long term, I think you very easily could pivot to Trevion, but I think you can afford to see it and see a split with Ramondre for the time being. But I think that's it for this. I know we got a bunch of roster reviews. We'll get to them tomorrow morning. I'm going to be up super early tomorrow, streaming, answering questions. And of course, if you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like, I live stream fantasy football Q&As every single day giving away free questions in the chat, whole 9 yards. And I'm not going to miss a day until Christmas. Like, literally got engaged today and still powering through. And I know I showed y'all the picture from us at brunch, but this picture just randomly came up. And I think this is our first ever, this is maybe TMI, but I'm going to show y'all anyway. Hell, I'm excited. We got engaged today. So this picture just came up. This was our first ever Halloween, like one of our first dates. You can see me as a young, spry Mason back in the day. Young, spry. God, I used to be good looking when I had hair. And I didn't sit here and live stream all day, so I was able to work out a bunch, but not able to that much anymore. Bat Mac, I always appreciate you. But I think that's it for this one. We'll go back and stream tomorrow morning, answering questions. But that's all I got. Appreciate you. Go hang out with the fiance now, and I will see y'all early in the morning. And of course, I'll be streaming all the way until kick.